I hope that after you listen to this podcast today, you walk away feeling a little bit better about all the things you have to do and how you can get them done. Hi everyone, I'm Pam Barnhill, and I have helped thousands of homeschoolers create systems, beat burnout, and bring more joy to their homeschool day. Welcome to episode 32 of the 10 Minutes to a Better Homeschool podcast. Okay, so today's podcast episode is all about how to juggle all the things that we have to do as parents, as people who have kids and houses and cars and all the things and jobs. A lot of us have jobs as well, and homeschool our children. How do we get all the things done, and can we find that elusive balance that we might be looking for? So we're going to talk about that in just a minute. But right now, I want to tell you that while this podcast is airing, the day that it comes out, we are in the middle of our bonus period for the Put Your Homeschool Year on Autopilot Planning course. So if you purchase the Autopilot Planning course between today, when this podcast comes out, and next Friday, July 1st, you can get our very special Plan Your Life bonus that comes with our course this year. So there are a number of things in the bonus. First of all, there is our Plan Your Life ebook, which has a lot of tips and tricks and recommendations for you for getting all the things done. There is a special Plan Your Life planner, which helps you kind of balance some of those needs that you have as a parent and other things that have to get done throughout your day, not just your homeschooling things. And then also a very special webinar where I teach you a technique that I use to get more things accomplished in my week in less time. So all of that is the bonus right now if you purchase Put Your Homeschool Year on Autopilot before July 1st. So go check that out at pambarnhill.com/autopilot. Okay, so let's talk about this idea of juggling life and homeschooling. And I have a little kind of secret hack for you, a way to think about these things that we're going to get to in just a minute that's going to help you, hopefully help you put some of this straight in your mind. But let's talk about the idea of balance. So a lot of times this is what we're after, is we're looking at all of the different things that we have to do in our day, and homeschooling really being just one part of those. We're always seeking this elusive idea of balance. Like, I don't want to be focused too much on one thing. I would like to spread my attention, and I would like to spread my focus out and really be doing well in all of the different areas of my life. And I'm really sad to say that this idea of balance is really kind of an illusion. I think it's not something that is easily achieved by anyone. I haven't discovered how to do it yet. And so I think by letting go of this idea that we are going to have all of the pistons firing, everything working equally well, that we can reach that kind of nirvana. See, I'm pulling out all of my little metaphors. I just think it's not going to happen. So letting go of that idea and realizing that it's probably not going to happen can save you some stress. I really, really think. It was once I realized that I was not going to get all the things going that I saved myself some stress. Okay, so that's the first point I want to make. The second point I want to make is about homeschooling in and of itself. So even if you have a very organic lifestyle of learning in your home, I still think homeschooling is as much work as a part-time job. But you're going to be paying attention to your children. You're going to be taking care of their needs. It's, whether you're doing direct teaching or indirect teaching, I still think unschoolers work incredibly hard because they're constantly observing and watching their kids and trying to meet them where they are and have these great big juicy conversations and all of those things. For me, sometimes it's easier to just say, let's open the math book to chapter 4 and do the chapter. So no matter what style of homeschooling you're doing, you are putting in time homeschooling week, and that time averages out to be about as much as a part-time job for most people. Depending on how many kids you have and the ages of your kids, you're going to be doing anywhere from 5 to 25 hours a week of homeschooling, of either doing the homeschooling directly or prepping for the homeschooling or thinking about the homeschooling or whatever the case may be. So homeschooling being a job that you're doing, homeschooling being a part-time job that you're doing, and keeping that in mind, you wouldn't expect to add a part-time job onto your life and it not cause some disruption. Not to say bad disruption, but just, our schedule's going to need to change. Priorities are going to need to change. The laundry might not be done as quickly. The dishes might not always be clean because I have to rush out the door and take care of this job. Well, if homeschooling is a part-time job, the dishes may not be clean. The laundry might not always be done. Things are going to change a little bit. And so it's okay. So that was the second point I wanted to make. So now let's go back to this idea of balance and the fact that we can't have all the areas of our life equally balanced. And so what I want to say is start thinking about two. Start thinking about picking two things. So this is the secret sauce I have for you, is on any given day, at any given point in your life, you can really focus well on two particular things at a time. Everything else, you're just going to be kind of hitting the mediocre level, right? So like the homeschooling might be getting done on a day that I'm not choosing to make homeschooling a focus. I'm not choosing to make homeschooling one of my two things. Some of it might be getting done, but it might not be getting done the best it could be. It might not be getting done really well. Or, in a given week, if I'm not really, really focusing on exercise, if I'm really, really focusing on exercise in a given week, I'm going to exercise like every day of the week, right? But if I'm not focusing on exercise, if that's not one of my two things for that week, then, it's going to be hit or miss. I might get a walk in a couple days that week. So just because you're not focusing on something, it's not one of your two things, it doesn't mean that it's never getting done. It just means that it's not getting done as strongly or not getting done as well. So while you're homeschooling, it very well could be that some other things just don't get done as well. So if you're really focusing on your homeschool, you're still eating, but you might not be cooking gourmet or from scratch dinners. Maybe you resort to doing a bunch of freezer cooking in the summer and eating some of that all year, or doing a little more convenience foods while you're homeschooling. Or if you're homeschooling and you're doing a really great job with your homeschool, it very well could be that your house is getting a little messy. We're barely keeping our head above water. I mean, the floor's not filthy, but the baseboards are starting to look a little dingy. And I have to tell you, the baseboards almost always look a little dingy in my house, but you're doing things, you're just not doing them well. And so if you think about all the things that you have to do, we've got to keep the house clean. We've got to make sure everyone is fed. We've got to homeschool. Maybe I've got to do a job. I'm working. I'm trying to think of all the things that I have to do. I'm a parishioner at my church, so there are some responsibilities that come from doing that. And so, that's 5 things. I'm a wife. That's another thing. So there's 6 things right there. Oh, and then exercise. So diet and exercise, something I got to pay attention to every once in a while or it just goes crazy. So, so there's 7 things right there that I'm paying attention to. I can choose to do 2 of them well at any given time. And the rest of them are just going to be floating along. So if I choose to be on a committee at church, something else has got to give somewhere else. During that period of time that I'm in the committee at church, I'm not working on any big projects at work. I'm still working. I'm just not working on any big projects. Or the house isn't staying as clean as what it could. And so you have to pick which 2 am I going to focus on? And it could be which 2 am I going to focus on for a longer period of time? Which 2 am I going to focus on for the next 6 weeks or the next month? Or it even could be on a day-to-day basis. Like I wake up today and I can do 2 things. Well, I've got this big project going on at work and I got to homeschool. So you know what? We're probably having convenience food for dinner and the house really isn't going to get clean today. We're just barely going to keep up with the laundry. And that's okay. But then you might look at next month and say, oh, next month I've got this huge project. This is going to consume my time the entire month. So, I'm going to take the other things and kind of plug them in as I can to basically keep my head above water. And that's a little more what real balance looks like on a day-to-day basis, other than this kind of like we're going to keep everything going even keel all the time. So play with that concept of choosing two, of picking two things and knowing that, that's kind of my limitation. That's about what I can do at any given time is to do two things really well and just keep everything else going in the background. And maybe that'll take some of the pressure and some of the stress off of you. Hey, I know homeschooling is hard. It's a lot of work. And one of the best ways that you can make it a little easier on yourself is to create a homeschool plan that's going to be flexible and fabulous and help you be prepared for the school year and yet wait for you on the days that you can't do it. It'll still be sitting there waiting on you. And that's what we teach you to do and put your homeschool year on autopilot. So come check out Autopilot at pambarnhill.com/autopilot. Check out that bonus right now if you listen to this podcast before July 1st. And hey, until we're back again, keep on homeschooling.